So, first question from Baron Goodlove via Instagram. Can you give an example of some of the sorts of risks that we should be taking?
Yes, I can, because risks is my thing. So this was a question that popped up because last week we did a question, or I think I actually did a video about taking risks. And are you taking enough risk? And it's something I kind of pushing on the Instagram thing, because one of the questions I'm always going to ask is what do you want? Before we start working on strategies, we have to come up with the end product. What is it that you want? And so I like it when people say, I want the world. I like that. I like it when people say, I want to sell my music to millions of people, or I want to tour the world, or I want to be a successful artist. I like all that kind of stuff. However, these are big rewards. These are things that we are really, really wanting. These things are not going to come accidentally. If you want to be in a limit, you don't just jump in a swimming pool and have a swim around and find out that you're the fastest swimmer on earth. That doesn't happen. So it takes a lot of work. And if you want these rewards, then the level of risk has to be up there. Otherwise, you are playing the lottery game, which is what most musicians do. And people will comment and they'll nod and they'll tell me what I want to hear. But most of you play the lottery game. Most of you are waiting for the industry to knock on the door, and they're not actually taking the bull by the horns properly. And then it comes down to risk and sacrifice if you're not playing that game. So the risk for me is going to be time. It's going to be financially. It's going to be taking risks with potential getting people on board that maybe haven't got as much experience but are prepared to actually take a punt on you. It's I think the good thing with this question is I think most people would know if it's a risk, because if I said to you, how much money do you make a month individually as a musician? I want you, if you make 1,200 quid a month, I want you to get your outgoings down to 800 quid. And then I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you have to move. I don't care if you have to sell your car and get a shitter car. Whatever it is, if you can get your outgoings from 1,200 quid down to 800 quid, that leaves you 400 quid. The risk is you spend every penny of that 400 quid, every penny of it, on the band, on marketing, on advertising. And a risk would be take that 400 quid every month for 6 months and put it into Facebook advertising. That's a risk, but the rewards are there. People are going to see you. And the one thing I always say with social media is people vote with their feet. This is a time that we are in now, which is very, very different to any time we've been in before, where at the moment, the consumer is more in power than they've ever been before. And so people want to be a part of the advertising. They want to see it and they want to be able to comment on it and talk about it with their mates. And so if people aren't interested in your stuff, then that's perfect, because all you've got to do is say, well, the problem is either the stuff or the way we're advertising it to the wrong people. And all you've got to do is fix that and off we go again. So, the risks are, if you want the risks, stay up later, get up earlier, spend the extra bits of money that you've got on your band. Stop playing it safe. That's what I would say. Playing it safe is what most bands do. They get together once a week. That's just not, it's not enough. Like if you want the reward, then you have to say to someone, look, you're gonna have to quit one of your jobs and get a shit job so that we can actually plow it into the band. That's a risk, because your career in banking may take a bit of a tumble, but you're going all in on the band thing. So it's not for everybody, lots of people aren't cut out for the music industry because of that risk and reward. There are so many people who take the risks and it doesn't pay off, but that's why it's a risk. Here's a story that is interesting to you. When I don't know why I'm telling you, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but when I sold BIM, I sold it for a good amount of money. And so I wanted to do a bunch of things with it. At the time, I was panicking because I didn't know what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I thought, I'll pay off my mortgage and I'll do a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, then I got to the point where the money was still coming in, and I was like, right, I want to invest the money, right? So I went to see a financial advisor, and he said they did a test on how much risk I was prepared to take, and I came out as quite high risk. You'd probably expect that. And then I put £80,000 into stocks and shares. And the guy said, obviously stocks can go up and stocks can go down. I lost 20 grand in 6 days. So I shit myself and was like, I just thought it would go up. And he was like, no, that's the risk. It's risk. Like, you put money in, higher risk, lower risk. You put in very high risk, you lost, I got it back again. But at the same point, it was a risk that happened because I took a risk, but I could have made fucking shit ton of money. I could have lost shit ton of money. That's what risk is. It's risk. There is no, I mean, safe risk when it comes to financials, safe risk when it comes to your career. It means slow progression is what it means, unless you're lucky, you know. But I'm here to say, don't play the lucky game. The lucky game is a lottery. If you don't want to go the lucky game, then it is about risk and reward. And if you are going to go for risk, you have to remember that you can lose shit. It's bad. And I get people talking about, you know, mental health because they've tried and it hasn't worked and it's affected them. I'm like, I know, like, that's the risk. I'm not saying it's right for everybody, but there is no situation where there is no risk and you get all of the rewards. I know that's what we'd love to hear, and we all love to know about. And if there is a way, tell me, because I'll do it as well. But there isn't. It's just risk and reward. And if you put in this much risk, but you want this much reward, I'm just saying, probably not going to happen, you know. And if you put in this much risk, there's a good chance you can get this much reward, but there's also a very good chance you can lose everything. It's just the way it works. So what sort of risks? You know, it is all the usual stuff. It's your money, it's your safety, it's your well-being, it's your long-term career. It's all of the things that you just go, ooh. It's your relationships. Like, it's the things that you don't want to risk is the things that you risk. You know, I'm not going to go, fucking hell, I'll risk it all for this cup of tea. Of course you would. But risking it for your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, that's a risk. I'm putting all of this in, and there's a good chance that your partner might leave you because you aren't spending enough time with them. Yeah. It's a reality. So what do you risk? You risk the things that you don't want to risk, because it's calculated risk is what it is. And that word calculated is a big thing. So I'm not saying it's for everyone. I'm not saying everyone should just shit or bust. I'm not saying that. So please don't fill up the comments with how irresponsible I am. What I'm saying is, if you want big rewards, you can't do it without some kind of risk. You've got to be realistic with the risks. And what is it that you risk? You risk the things that mean something to you, because that's what risk is.